Okay, so this is new for me, but I'm gonna do, I guess, talk through my discussion boards from here to the rest of the semester. So broke my hand. It's bad broken, so in three places, pretty severe fractures. So I can't really type as well. So hopefully this will be a little bit easier. But anyways, I'm gonna attempt to answer four of these questions that were put up for the discussion board this week for week 11. The first one: how do banks create money? Well, banks basically create money by taking the money that you give them and loaning it out to other people. So the basic idea is that you have some money and they will incentivize you to deposit that money in the bank. One, say you have $10,000, you don't really want to hold on to that $10,000 when the bank could hold on to that, and it's much less risk for the bank to have than for you to have. So that kind of provides some incentive. And then they'll offer you like a rate on your checking or savings account, so like an interest rate to encourage you to put money in. So once they have this big pool of people who are putting their money in the bank, then thanks to something called the reserve ratio and the fractional reserve banking system that we operate on, then we can basically create money in this economy by taking the money that you guys have put in to the banks and loaning it out. So the fractional reserve banking system operates by saying that basically we can have some percentage of our reserves on hand at any given time, but then we can loan some out. So that's how banks create money. They take your money and they loan it out to other people, and in the process, those other people have to pay interest on it. You're paid some of that interest. Banks make a little bit of money in there, and then in general, you're able to create more in the economy because there's more money going around. So it's basically just this big lending scheme, and in the end, the money that you guys have in your savings account helps to pay for that. Um, okay, so the Federal Reserve influencing economic growth, they have some charges. They want to maintain an inflation rate of around 2% per year, and they believe that that's good for a healthy economy. So keeping the price level rising, they want to keep the idea that they keep stimulating aggregate demand. Then the price level increasing over time is not necessarily a bad thing, as long as wages increase too, right, as they would with increase in aggregate demand. So that kind of answers number one, or number two: how does the Federal Reserve influence economic growth? And of course, the other way is just by controlling the money supply. It's a monopoly on money. So that's how they're able to control economic growth as well. So they can slow down or speed up the economy, I guess, but we can talk more about that later. So let's see. What is the inflation tax? This is another question that I wanted to get around to answering, number 9. The inflation tax is basically this idea that if you have some money and then inflation happens, you'll have less money afterwards, and it's kind of like this natural tax that's occurring to you. So think about it. If you had $50,000 and the inflation rate is 2%, then you actually lose $1,000 in purchasing power every year if that's the annual inflation rate. So that's the inflation tax. It's this hidden tax, but just because the general level of prices has increased, you're able to actually afford less in the end. Okay, let's see. And the last question that I want to answer for you guys are, does the Federal Reserve have assets, income, and profit? It doesn't necessarily have assets, income, or profit per se, but it does have, I guess I should say, it doesn't have income or profits per se, but it does hold assets. And they actually hold some pretty risky assets at the current time period. So the Federal Reserve does have assets as far as I know, but they do not produce an income or make a profit in any way, shape, or form. They just control the money supply and have a really big effect on the economy as a result of that. All right, thank you guys for bearing with me, and hopefully these YouTube videos will be decently easy to follow from here.